Why don't we get started, and if a few more folks trickle in from eating their ice cream or dessert, that's okay. You had to be here earlier for that, Greg. You had to be here and pay your $4 and have a great lunch and have ice cream. So it's part of that. So welcome. I'm Tony LaFountain, Penfield Supervisor for those that may not know me. So this is the second part of the presentation. The first part we talked about all the things that were going on in the town, some new residential properties, some new commercial development, just to kind of give everybody an overview of what was going on in the town. Today we're talking about sustainability, and what is sustainability? It's, in my words, it's this current generation taking a look at and managing in a way that we allow future generations an opportunity to continue to expand and grow that sustainability and kind of do that on their own. We don't want to use up all of the resources that are out there. And so today what we're attempting to do is we're attempting to do a better job of recycling, a better job of using our energy, a better way of not contaminating our water supply and water sources, and do it in a way that, again, future generations, our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, have an opportunity to continue to enjoy what we do. So today I want to give you a little bit of history of what we've been doing in Penfield, and what I'll say to you is that we started this process back in the 80s, so we're coming up on about 30 years of doing what I would call the right things from an energy management standpoint, from a sustainability standpoint, from a recycling standpoint. Back in the 80s, the common thing was energy conservation, cost savings. If you're not in the room, turn the lights out in the room, making sure that you're just doing that wisely. If you're not using your computer, shut your computer off. Some of you may have heard that if you're not home when you finish making your toast in the morning, when you leave for work, pull your toaster out, unplug it, because even though you're not using the toaster, that is a phantom user of energy that will in fact drain energy and cost you more money to operate over the course of a year. So as we moved on and we started to head into the 90s, we started talking a little bit about integrated pest management. And so what that is instead of going through and spraying everything and putting fertilizers down on everything, you concentrate on those areas that truly need it, and not just cover your whole lawn for one dandelion patch, but to concentrate on just dealing with that. Back in the 90s, we started to recycle all of our fluids from the highway department instead of just disposing of them and getting rid of them. They could get picked up, they could get recycled, and then they could be reused again. We cut back on some of our mowing. That helped from a labor standpoint, that helped from an energy standpoint, gas, oil, diesel. And then we started this whole issue about stormwater management. A lot of times in front of your homes, apartments, townhomes, you'll see these catch basins. And I think it gives or gave people the right, or they felt they had the right to dump anything down there. They were cleaning their paintbrushes and they dump it down there. They change the oil in their car, they would dump it down there. And unfortunately what happens is that all of that goes into the system. They don't see it anymore, but then ends up in one of our creeks or streams, Irondequoit Creek, Allen's Creek, depending upon where you live. And so there was a real effort. This is the Healthy Water, Healthy Hero person that we were going through and actually putting him on those catch basins, and we were putting in do not dispose or do not dump. And that was a big thing that we were really working to do. And again, unfortunately, we still have a number of folks that do that, and we have this ongoing effort of trying to address that and deal with it. We're not looking to lock people up, we're just looking to educate them as we go through. So In 1999, what we looked to do is all the streetlights throughout the town that was owned by, they were owned by RG&E. And every month we wrote a check like we do for our gas and electric, we write a check. But as you can imagine, we were writing a pretty big check to do that. So the supervisor at the time, Chan Philbrick, said, you know what, why don't we take over those lights and we'll maintain them. And we did that. So all of the lights, all the overhead lights that you see out and about in the town are owned by the town. So we maintain them, we take care of them, but we do them at a very significantly reduced cost overall to the residents. So it was a way for us to cut back not only for the cost of renting those, because that's what we were doing, is we were renting or leasing them. So now that we own them, we don't have to pay the lease. And then as the lights go bad, then we upgrade. So today you might see some of the incandescent bulbs, the regular light bulbs. Now you're starting to see a lot more of the curly or CFL light bulbs. And so as we're updating those lights, we can go to that new technology that is providing the same coverage from a lighting standpoint, but done in a reduced cost overall. So it's another way for us to look at reducing costs. Yes, sir.
We still have lighting districts though, don't we? Like there's one at the end of my street, and I don't know who maintains that.
Yep, that's a good point. So Dick reminds me that there are two types of lights in town. There is the street lights that you'll see on most every corner, and those are all owned by the town. They're maintained by the town. Then we have these special districts, and those special districts are owned by a group or a neighborhood, and it's called an intensified lighting district. And what will happen is that the residents in that area, so let's say there are 20 homes, they have street lights on their street, or they have some special street lighting, they will pay a couple of extra dollars in their taxes each year to maintain that. So you or I or Phyllis or anyone else is not paying for those extra lighting, they're paying for them themselves. And the idea of having the street lights at the corners, and every once in a while I'll have someone say, well, why am I paying for a light? I live in the Four Corners and I'm paying for a street light up on 5 Mile Line Road by the Webster Town Line. And the thought there is that as we all drive around the town, having the intersections lit and providing that, it makes it safer for everyone. So the argument that we've had over time is that everyone benefits for all of those lights. A neighborhood only benefits for those intensified lights.
So the Town of Penfield still maintains.
We still maintain them, but that neighborhood actually pays for it. So, good point, Dick. And then the other component was the open space inventory and protection. And the town made a very conscious effort of taking a look at the town and saying, you know what, if we go the way we're going for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and we build on every inch of land within the town, that's probably not going to benefit all of our residents. It may not bother us because right now we're not faced with that, but maybe 20, 30, 50 years from now, when all the land is built on, that's not what we want to see the town shape up to be. So we went through and we've actually developed, purchased development rights or actually purchased property to maintain that as open space and to keep it as open space for generations to come. Used for parks, could be active parks, it could be passive parks where people like to just go, sit, or they could walk around. And again, we've wanted to keep some of that open so that it's just not building on top of building on top of building on top of row on top of building.
Or to build a new senior center.
Or to build a new senior center and space for a new senior center. That's right, Linda. Very good. In the 2000s, we really started concentrating on this whole public education and awareness. Because a lot of times as people were washing their car in their driveway, and then the soap suds would run down the driveway to the gutter, into the storm sewer, into the creeks or into the ponds, created a lot of problems for water quality. And to the point that there is some new legislation for stormwater management that all communities towns and villages have to do a better job of that today than we ever have. And that's because I think that everyone around in this room today probably has done a good job to try to manage that. But for every one of us, there's probably a group or a business that hasn't done as good of a job. They're looking to get rid of the water in any way that they can. And so that whole stormwater management and education, within the town, we have 130 different ponds of all size and shapes scattered through the town. We have to inventory those, we have to oversee those, we have to report out to DEC, Department of Environmental Conservation, to make sure that if we have a problem, that we're addressing it, we're taking care of it, whether that be chemicals coming in, phosphorus, or is there problems with chemicals and things like that.
Well, Tony, what are you saying? Are you saying the only thing that goes into those drains is stormwater?
The only thing that should be going into those drains is stormwater.
People aren't allowed to wash their cars?
What happens is that all the soap suds, what the yep. So if you just go back one slide, if you wouldn't mind. We're part of the Stormwater Coalition of Monroe County, and if you talk to that group, what they will encourage you is that if you're going to wash your car, consider washing it on your lawn, because what happens is that then the soap suds will go in and start to be purified or cleansed out, rather than just directly going from your driveway hard surface to the gutters hard surface to the roadway hard surface to the catch basins and into the ponds. And that amount of concentration is what adds to some of the problems. So the encouragement, certainly not everyone has the ability or the need to go to Delta Sonic or Buckman's or one of those others around. But what the Stormwater Coalition will encourage you to do is, if you're going to wash your vehicle at home, they encourage you to wash it on the grass. Have everything go into the grass before it just goes directly into your ponds. In 2007, we put together, at the town behind our highway department, we put together a rain garden. And what I'd like to do is, I'm going to just click on the back light because I want to talk a little bit about what happened with that. We identified, because we need to, Penfield always wants to lead by example. And one of the things that we say is that we don't want to ask developers and others to go out and do things that the town would not do. So we, behind the highway garage, as we were putting in the sewer operations building, we worked and put together a rain garden. So we dug it out, we laid the appropriate piping, then we went through and did a series of plantings. And so this is the early days, and this is where it is today. And so what happens is that the water, and so these are actual samples, and we can pass these around, but you'll see this is water that came into the intake, into the rain garden, and then this is the water after it's sat in there going out the other end. So the rain gardens provide a wonderful filtering. So it gets back, Greg, to your point about the soap suds. The natural grasses, plants, and the soils will take the water coming in and the water going out. You still may not want to drink this, but I would drink this before I drink that. So if you want to pass it around and take a look, but this is coming in and this is going out through a natural evolution. In 2008, one of the things that we started concentrating on is reducing our town fleet and making sure that we had the right vehicles to do the job. So instead of having 2 or 3 backhoes that may sit for a period of time, we have 1 or 2 backhoes so that they're used on a more regular basis. So that was a cost savings back to our residents. We held our first electronics recycling event, and I'd like to just talk a little bit about that, the recycling event. Back in 2008, we would collect old TVs, computers, all this electronics. And what would happen is the homeowner would have to pay to have that done. So if I had a medium-sized TV, I might pay $5. If I had one of the jumbo TVs, I might pay $10. So as we moved forward from 2008, we went from paying to get rid of it to we could bring it and give it free without paying for it, to now what happens when we hold these events, we will get a couple of cents a pound. We'll get a couple of cents a pound back for those recycled items for the electronics. So it's in a very short period of time, in about a 5-year period of time, we had to pay, it was free, now we're getting a couple of pennies back. And to me, that's the right way to go, is that now we're finding markets for those materials, whether that be the glass, whether that be the lead, whether that be the plastic. My wife and I were out a few weeks ago at Lowe's, just walking around one rainy Sunday, and you can go into the kitchen and bath area, and you can take a look at the countertops, and you can get countertops of recycled material. Some could be glass, some could be plastic, and if you take a look at them, the way they've put them together, and it's in an epoxy type of solution, in a lot of cases, you can't tell the difference between the recycled countertop and a granite countertop. I mean, they've really done some wonderful things, and to me, that's better than going into a landfill if you can take it, reuse it, grind it up, and then put it out as another product overall. We've been very active with our mulch and making our mulch available. In fact, if you go up to the town hall right now, earlier this week, we put out, or at the end of last week, we put out our big mulch piles. So we're optimistic that spring is coming. We're optimistic that it's not going to be winter for another 2 or 3 months. So the mulch is there, and that's all the materials that we take in during the course of the year from residents. We grind it all up, and then we double grind it the next year so that we give materials back to the residents for use. Leaf management, I get asked on some regular basis, what about leaves? Will you pick up leaves? And I've historically, over the last 20 years, have said, we're not going to pick up leaves. That's not a business that we want to get into. And what's evolved over time is that we've got a lot of private landscapers that can pick up leaves a lot cheaper than we can. In fact, they could pick up at your house 2 or 3 times for the cost it would take for the town to do it one time. If the town picks it up, you have to get it to the front on the edge of the road. If the landscaper picks it up, you have to do the same thing. They'll pick it up, they'll take it to a farmer, they'll spread it on some of the fields and the farmland, and then they'll mix it in, which is, again, putting it back into the ground. That mulch helps the crops, and it's a way not to clog up our landfills as we go through.
Tony, can
Yep.
I just, can I just stop you on this?
You sure can, Dick.
Leaf management thing. How is it working? In other words, I see my neighbor, I mulch everything, so I have compost bins, so everything goes in there. I don't throw anything away.
Mm-hmm.
But I see a lot of my neighbors that even have the servers come in, but they'll have black plastic bags that they put on, and then what is your or the town's feeling regarding that? Because I know that Waste Management used to remove the plastic at one of their facilities.
Yes.
And not put it in the ground.
Right.
Does that happen with most of the bags? Because I still am concerned about the number of bags.
Absolutely, and I think that's the biggest concern, and I think that's why you've seen people like Mayor Bloomberg in New York City talk about things like banning plastic and what have you, because that'll go into the landfill and that'll be there for years and years and years, generations to come. If I had my way, Dick, I would encourage everyone to do what you're doing, to recycle. I mulch all my leaves. I mulch about 90+% of my leaves. Where it gets real heavy and thick, I put that together, and over time, I probably don't turn it as regularly as I should, but over time, that turns into material that my wife spreads around her gardens and goes right back into the ground. If I had my way, no bags of leaves would be picked up if they were in plastic, and they would have to be, at the very least, they'd have to be in paper. But I would really encourage, if you're not mulching and can't do it yourself, if you have a landscaper pick it up along the curb, and they'll take it and they'll chop them up to a degree, and then they'll spread them back onto the fields. So I would really encourage doing that. Certainly there are some folks that have the wherewithal to have the landscaper come in, pick up all the leaves and cart them all away. But not everyone can afford that particular luxury.
About the bags.
The bags themselves, I'm guessing a portion of them still make it into the landfill, Dick. They still make it into the landfill, yep.
That's up to your neighbors.
Yeah, but Waste Management does pick up some leaves, but don't they still have this separation at one of their facilities?
They do some separation, as I understand it, they do some separation at High Acres. You can go over to Eco Park and drop leaves off, and they've got a process where they, separate them and turn them and then give back that black gold. You'll hear people refer to as black gold because it's so rich and what have you. But I'm going to say to you, without any statistical data or evidence, I would say roughly 50-50. 50% of the leaves that get put out in bags go into the landfill, and 50% don't,
See,
Dick.
I'm tempted to go up to that neighbor and knock it.
It's part of the education. I mean, it's part of that education that, that we try to do, that all of us should be doing as good stewards. Encouraging mulching or composting. If you can't do that, maybe put them in paper bags. And you're going to have a few residents that are going to say, you know what, I don't care. You do what you're going to do, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I mean, you always have that. The goal is to get the number of those down and the larger number doing the recycling as we go through. We've been doing some tree giveaways as we go through, and that's something that we've done a number of times. And then the no idling policy, and that benefits on a number of fronts. It saves energy, diesel, gasoline, the noise, the pollution factor, all of those types of things. So those are some things that we've been working towards. And I would say at some point over the next couple of years, you'll probably start to see some of our vehicles be a combination of electric and gas, like the Chevy Volt, because there are some incentives for communities to start to convert their fleet. In 2009, we worked very closely with NYSERDA on a stimulus project. We received some monies in to go through and do an energy audit, almost similar to what you might do at your home. And they paid for that. They paid for some window replacements, some insulation, expanding our energy management system that the computer says, okay, it's 5:15, cut the heat off and cut it down to maybe 57 or 58 degrees. And at 8:15, let's kick it on because a majority of our people are going to be in the town hall in a half hour, and we want it so it's comfortable. So we've got a number of our buildings tied to that so that we're able to add heat when we need it and take it away when we don't need it. And we did a lot with lighting as well. So that when you come in and flick the one switch at the highway department, you don't light up the whole highway department that has 30 some odd bays. What you do is you walk into the area and the lights will come on because you have the eyes. And then if you go into another area, it lights it up. And then when you leave that area, the lights turn off. So we just have to get smarter about that on all fronts. And then our planning board, this is what they used to get. A developer would submit all of that material. They would submit dozens of copies, and the staff would take that in, and what they would do is they would get it out to the planning board members so that they could read it. And so what we did was we said, well, wait a second, you guys have this on some type of a word processing or computer, send it to us electronically. And what our planning staff will do is every time we get a submission, we'll give you a thumb drive and you got all your materials right here. So I can remember back in my early days when I was an employee of the town back in the mid-70s, I would take all of this in. I would distribute it, and we would have boxes and literally rooms of material. And now, you don't see all of this. When the planning board comes in, they might have a notebook and their laptop, and that's all they have. So this was a real cost savings, not only to the developer, because the developer is going to pass it on to his client. The town's not going to pay for it. They're not going to pay for it. They're going to pass it on. The engineer is going to pass it on to the developer. And then the other thing that we did is we did some internal sustainability audits, and Phyllis Ely, who was our communications director within the town, and Sabrina Renner, who you'll see running around here, they did an audit to get an idea of what are some things that are going on, what can we do better, different, and so there was a lot of effort on their part to help us get to a better place in the town. In 2010, we expanded our drop-off services even more to do a lot more recycling. We ran a couple of annual home energy workshops to try to help the education process. I recently, I think it was the November timeframe, my wife and I did energy audit of our home. Penfield TV taped that so that we could show that it's pretty painless for that to go through and have that. We did a lot more recycling in our parks. Instead of putting everything in one barrel, we had different barrels, cans and bottles. And you know what? We got a couple of dollars for recycling those. We could take them to one of these redemption centers, turn it in, they'd send us back a check. Cold in place paving, so instead of just ripping up some paving and then disposing of that in the landfill, we ground that up, put some additional material in, added some additional oil and binder mix, and put it right back in place so that we didn't have to dispose of that in landfills. And we established our Energy and Environmental Advisory Committee, and I'm very pleased that the town board supported me in that endeavor, because the thing I wanted to do is to continue to help our residents be aware. And so we've done a lot of great things we'll talk about here in just a minute. That committee, very active. It's made up of residents, it's made up of some staff, and we just get a number of things done as we're moving forward. Also in 2010, we started to computerize our salt spreader controls. And the little device that spreads the salt on the roads, we have that all now tied into the computer. So we're putting down only the amount of salt that we need per lane mile. You know, it's the old adage, if I put down a bag of fertilizer on my lawn and it looks nice and green, if I put 2 bags, it's got to even be nicer. Well, that's not always the case, because what will happen is that when you're spreading salt, you can only put so much down. If you double it, triple it, or quadruple it, it's not going to work any better or any more efficient. So that has cut down the amount of our salt usage considerably. And at the end of this year, we'll have all of our vehicles equipped with that technology. Better for the environment. What it'll do is it'll provide what is needed for the roads to make them safe. Our Harris Whalen Park, we went through all of the stormwater that comes off the roof and everything goes into a system that injects it right back into the water table. So it doesn't run off, it doesn't go to a storm sewer, it doesn't go to a pond, it doesn't go to a creek. It's a system that takes it right back into the groundwater. And so this is one of the first types of its design in Penfield for this. And that's working very, very effectively, and again, helping to recharge our overall water table. Our Public Works Department works 4 10-hour days, and so where the savings were during the spring, summer, fall is that they start up 4 times a week and shut down 4 times a week instead of starting up 5 times and shutting down. We can shut buildings down for a whole day, so instead of having a 2-day weekend, we have a 3-day weekend. So again, that's some energy savings there. And then when we get on some of these paving jobs were taking us a day and a half to do it because we had to set up and then take down, set up and take down. This way we start on the 10-hour days, we can get the project, for the most part, we can get the project done a lot quicker and more efficient overall. And then we did a lot of work on the CFLs, and I've heard a lot of pluses and minuses about the CFLs. They're not as bright. They don't seem to last as long as what the manufacturer states. But what's happening is that that's the direction that we're heading because there's going to come a point, I think it's in 2015, that the incandescent bulbs that we knew will no longer be manufactured.
Why aren't they looking at LED lights?
Well, I think that's the next generation. You know, like
They're out there.
they are out there. I think it's you know, it's that whole issue of affordability, Greg. If you take a look at it, you know, you can buy an incandescent. So I'm not going to have these numbers exactly right, but just to exaggerate my point, if you buy a regular incandescent bulb, that might cost 25 cents. You can get a package of 4 at Wegmans for 99 cents. So that might cost 25 cents. If you buy one of these, the price is coming down, and that might be $1.50. And the digital lights are a couple of times more than that. But I think over time, what's happening is that those prices are coming down, and we just put in a couple of digital outdoor lights at the town hall, and you can notice how much less energy it draws, the digital lights, even versus these lights. You know,
Less energy, and they're supposed to last 3 times
longer,
so there's definitely a cost savings.
Right. Well, these were supposed to last a lot longer, and I've been amazed at the number that I've replaced at my house that I wouldn't have guessed. And some of it, I think, is conditions. The front porch light, where you get the hot, the cold, the different weather changes. I'm replacing that at least once a year with these.
Longevity is based on how many times you turn it on and off. And the tests they run these things non-stop.
Right.
So if you turn on, off, it breaks it.
That
The light died. The
Right,
light from the
exactly.
die right off.
Exactly. So, but yeah, digital certainly is what's coming next,
And they're much brighter too.
and they're much brighter. Yep.
As far as the salt goes, is there any, when you redo these trucks, all right, are you going to be doing something about these intersections where they just dump piles of salt on the road? I mean, literally, they're there for 3 to 4 days at a time. These mounds of salt. Is there anything that's going to be done about that?
With the digital controls, that helps it a little bit, but it doesn't eliminate it. So what happens is that the way the system works is it's based on you know, your distance and speed and all of that type of thing. So what happens is that as you come to an intersection or a red light, you know, the salt will come into that spreader. And then when the truck takes off, you know, if they're spreading 350 pounds of salt per lane mile, what happens is that that's based on you know, how fast you're going to a certain degree and things like that. So whenever you come to, you know, from a standing stop to a startup, you do have that at intersections. So like I say, this helps a little bit, but it doesn't totally eliminate it. And that's somewhat inherent you know, with the system itself. And I know our guys continue to try to tweak. The one that bothers me, and I guess it bothers me more today because I'm looking at the 1st of April, and I hit it most every day, and I'm coming down 441 getting ready to turn left or go north on Baird Road, and there's a 5-gallon pail size of salt that's been there since Sunday or Monday. I think it was Monday the 18th. And so I look at that every morning and I say to myself, you know, that pile, unless we get a real heavy rain, is still going to be there for another week or 2. I mean, that's just and it just really bugs me, especially this time of the year when we're really looking at spring. But that is somewhat inherent with the equipment that we have, and it's not unique to Penfield. You know, most all DPWs have that situation.
Too. I've seen it around. I mean, that should be addressed because that's environmentally, that's
Yeah,
a big negative.
exactly. So I'll settle for some of these little clumps here and there at the intersections. If we can get to a point that we lock these computers out. So if we say that for these particular conditions, it's 350 pounds per lane mile, someone can't dial it up because we lock it out. So once it's set, and the computer does the setting of the material spread. So we're saving a tremendous amount by doing it that way. But you're right, we still have these little pockets that we're going to have to address.
Do you know if upstairs computerized?
I don't know. I think a lot of towns are starting to go in that direction because it takes all the guesswork out. It just takes the guesswork out. We used to have guys when I came here in the 70s that said, well, if you put 350 pounds on the road, if I double that, then I'm not going to have to worry about getting called out at 2 o'clock in the morning. So they'd double it up. But you know what? You put it on, you get an element of plowing off, you get an element of blowing off, you get an element of driving off. So you want to put down what you need to make it safe and not overdo it. But I know a lot of towns are heading in the direction. I think we're one of the top 3 or 4 of the 19 towns that are as far as we are with the program. So we're making strides. 2011, we started this education program with Bay Trail, figuring that we get the students and get them involved with thinking about recycling. I buy this box of cereal at Wegmans, and where does that go from consumption to disposal? And it's easy to put it, into the garbage, but you can recycle the box, you can recycle the bag. So we wanted to get them over, and they had an opportunity to go to ALPCO to see where materials came in. They had an opportunity to come to the town hall to see how we were separating materials at our drop-off. At the town, we eliminated the styrofoam component because you can't recycle this today. There's very few places that will do any recycling of styrofoam, so we wanted to get rid of that. We started a program. We were having a lot of water infiltration into our sewers, and then that water would go into our sewers, and then we would treat it at Van Laer Treatment Plant. Van Laer Treatment Plant that treats our sanitary sewage does it based on the quantity that goes down to the sewers on an annual basis. So we went through and sealed a number of our manholes where we were having problems, and we were able to save $16,000. That was less water going into the manholes, groundwater that was going into the manholes, down to Van Laer, being treated and a bill sent to the town. We've been promoting Eco Park. Eco Park is over behind the airport on Avion Drive. I've been there now 4 or 5 different times, and you can recycle almost anything. Old sneakers, ink cartridges. You can, if someone's a diabetic and you have needles, you can recycle that. Paints and solvents, all your plastics, bottles, cans. Every station, if you can imagine, is in there. About the only thing they don't recycle today is wood. And I think over time, you might even see that start to happen. But this is a great resource, especially if you have a lot of materials, bulky materials you're looking to get rid of. It's a wonderful, wonderful facility. And then we've been doing some document destruction, and what we found is that paper is becoming very valuable. And so we can run these certified document destructions where you might have some materials that's sensitive with your name on it, your address, social security number and things. You can bring that, it pulverizes it, and then they take that paper and recycle and reuse that. So that's a very, very positive thing as well.
Where can you take that?
Well, we're actually...
Because some places they have like a certain day when you can bring stuff.
Yes.
To be shredded, like document and stuff like that.
Right.
Because I have a shredder, but it would take me forever.
I was going to say, that's the problem, is that it's good for a couple of pages here or there, right? You get it at Staples, you get it so it's fine enough, so it, but...
You open it, it goes all over the place.
And it goes all over the place. Well, we're gonna talk in just a minute. We're gonna have one coming up here in April. And so whether you have a bag or a box or a trunk load, we're gonna take that for you and get that all pulverized and hopefully clean up some of your files.
Thank you.
In 2012, we've been doing a little bit more, again, for some new and different things. If you take a look, we have got the first solar-powered pump station. So we have a pump station where there is some residents that are in a low area. In order to get their sewage from this area into the interceptor sewer, we have to put in a pump station. And so it costs us to run that pump station. And through a grant from NYSERDA and really just some labor from our facilities group, we put this in, and it generates 113% of the power needed to run that pump station. So it covers the pump station, and then roughly 10% of that goes to our electric car station that's right out here at the community center. And then the other 3% we have to donate to RG&E because the way the laws read, we cannot make more than 110%. So anything above 110%, we donate back to RG&E. So our car charging station and our pump station are being operated 100% by solar power. And so again, first one in the county that we led that effort. We continue to work on reducing the amount of paper that we have within the town, and we've expanded our energy management system to include some additional buildings within the community. So that, again, that's been our goal. Everyone will say to me, since I've been in office, not only would I like you to keep my taxes flat, ideally I would like you to lower my taxes. The problem that I'm faced with every year when I'm building a budget for the town board is that the costs are going up, insurances are going up. I mean, all of us know that each time we writing our monthly bills, the costs continue to go up. Food's going up, insurance going up, all of these different things. And so what my goal has been back to the town board is, what can we do to help keep our tax base as level and flat as we possibly can. The days of pulling the rabbits out of the hat, I've got $100,000 here, I've got $150,000 there, those days are gone. So it seems small, but a very small investment in expanding our energy management system helps us cut the amount of power, gas, and electric that we're using. And again, the goal is to try to keep things flat for our residents. So what's next? This gets back to our spring cleanup. We got the Great Penfield Spring Cleanup that starts here in April. And so I've got some handouts for everyone so that you don't have to worry about remembering the times and the dates or writing anything down. You can take it with you. But it really starts off in about 2 weeks with living next to stormwater ponds. And what we're trying to do there is we're trying to educate our residents. If you live next to a pond, here's some of the do's and the don'ts. Don't dump oils and solvents. Don't go right up to the edge of the pond and fertilize your lawn. Come back about 10 or 12 feet and stop your fertilizing there. That minimizes what gets into the pond and kills or upsets that natural evolution or flow of that pond. On the 20th, we've got a number of different events that are going on, and most of them are focused right here. We've got our Picking Up the Town day as we go through and getting everything cleaned up and tidied up, kind of a spring cleaning, if you will. This year in Webster, we alternate years, but we have our hazardous waste drop-off, paints, solvents, and things like that. One year we do it at our highway, and then one year we do it at Webster. So this year it happens to be at Webster, but there's an opportunity to do that. Again, all this material is in here. We're gonna go through and clean up our parks. We're gonna do some recycling efforts. We're going to encourage through some education here at this building with our Girl Scouts, with Eco Park. They're going to come and talk a little bit about things that they do and just kind of give an overall sense of what can be done. For those of you that have prescription drugs that are old, You're doing some cleaning up, cleaning out. Please, please don't dump those down the toilet. That used to be the common rule. Dump it down the toilet, flush it so that kids, pets can't get into it. You can drop those off at the sheriff's substation right on Linden Avenue, and it's that first Tuesday of every month from 9 until noon. You can drop those off. I've used it 2 or 3 times as we were cleaning things up in our house, and that's a great way to do that. You can also do that at Eco Park, but you have to make an appointment. But at the Sheriff's Department, you have someone there, they'll take it, no questions asked, they put it into a bin, and then they make sure that that bin gets to the proper place for disposal and being burned, which I believe is in Buffalo. So we're going to be doing just a lot more recycling events and opportunities within the town. Again, the idea is to make it as easy as possible for folks to get rid of some of the things that they have around their home. All right, so that gives a little bit of an overview of some of the things that we're doing, and we just wanted to let you know that from a town standpoint, we haven't been sitting around just saying, you know what, we'll wait for the next thing to happen. We've been trying to create a little bit of that ourselves because, again, we've got to lead by example. We can't encourage our residents to do this. Take care of the quality of the water that is coming off your property, or make sure you're recycling if we don't do it ourselves. And that's one of the things that we've really been working to do, is lead by example. One of the other things that I didn't mention is that we had 2 properties that the town owned that were contaminated with petroleum, with mercury and things like that. And one of the things that we've been doing is we've been cleaning those properties up because, again, we really have to lead by example. And that's what we want to be noted for from a community is that we're leading by example.
There's a street light across from Pineview on Baird Road.
Okay.
It goes on and off at night.
Okay.
Stay on permanently.
Yep.
I don't know what causes it.
Yeah, what causes it is that there's an electric eye, and what happens is that no, what they'll do is they'll start to fail, and sometimes they'll fail and it'll cause it not to work. Sometimes it'll fail where it'll go on and off and on and off, or it'll fail where it stays on all the time. So what we need to do is we just need to go up, pull the old eye out, put the new eye in. So that's on Baird.
Baird, right across from Pineview on Baird Road.
Okay, Baird and Pineview. Okay.
A little pile of salt there on Baird Road.
Okay.
Came up from Pineview.
I can sweep that up and use that for later this year, maybe hopefully December. All right. Any other questions? Okay, not a problem, not a problem. So those that have to leave, thank you very much. Thank you for coming. Hopefully we gave you a little bit of overview of some things we're doing. And we've got one more of these. I had a 3-part series, so the next one is going to be a surprise. I know it's we've got a government at all levels. If you've seen some of my columns that I write each week, government on all levels need to assess and take a look at everything they're doing. And even though you've done it maybe as recent as say 6 months ago, a year ago, it's time to do it again, because things are changing, and they're changing enough that it really is important, and we have to make sure that we're doing what's right, right for our community, right for our students, right for our residents, and so that's got to be an ongoing discussion. And we can't rely on, I don't believe that we can rely on the state to lead that effort. I think in this case what needs to happen is that it's not going to come from the federal to the state to the county, to the towns and the school districts. I think it's really the towns, villages, and school districts have got to push up and push back, and I think that's an effort that all of us need to take a look at, because we're not going to get it from down, coming down. Probably our biggest problem is if we take a look at the number of registered voters, and then what percentage of that comes in. And I think what we've been seeing is a third or less is what we're seeing. So two-thirds 2/3 of the people are not voting for town budget and are not voting for school budget. Now, they will come out on a presidential election, and that percentage will be a little bit higher, but just given school district, local, town, or village, 30%, and unfortunately, that's just too low. The cost piece is the other piece that's going up, and it's going up at a very high rate. Healthcare, I mean, healthcare is going up double digits. Pensions, those are pension costs from last year to this year was up 19%. So, you know, there's a lot more. I mean, we have to take a look at this, and there's a lot of potential opportunities. And the thing we can't do is we can't just automatically just point the fingers. You know, we gotta work together. We got to work together because, you know, from a sustainability standpoint, I talked early on about the sustainability, you know, longer term. Right now, that sustainability is not there.
Thank you, Tony.
Absolutely. Thank you, Linda.